Yeah, and it will introduce all around. Um, we will have a quorum. It looks, no, will we have a quorum yet?
Not yet, no.
No. So once we have one more person come on, then I'll start the meeting.
Well, it's not 5 yet either.
No. Yeah, but in 1 more minute. 5 now. So that's why I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure you feel like a long day too. You know, one of my old neighbors and a really great guy, Wayne Rebane, works with you, Chief Jarvis. Is Wayne still with you guys?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Wayne Rebane, is he still with you?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, we were neighbors for years, and then he right up here I live on Fairfield and Boone. I live in the heart of it all.
Okay.
I live in a real good neighborhood. Actually, I love my house, but
Yeah, Wayne's a sergeant here. and-
yeah, is he still a homeless liaison officer?
No,
No, not anymore.
patrol sergeant now and a few other hats, but
Yeah, no, if you see him, tell him his old neighbor Mary Ann says hi. I love that guy. I loved all of them. Well, you didn't know him when he had his dog. Andy was such a good boy, lived next door to me. So always felt a little extra safe when they were there.
yeah. He's a great guy, great family.
Great guy. Oh, really awesome family. Yeah, definitely tell him I say hi. I do. Yeah, I haven't seen them in a little bit with COVID, and now that I teach up in McKinleyville, I'm just out of here every day. Jim?
Yes?
Oh, I thought you were pointing like you're raising.
No, I was counting people.
There we go. All right. Waiting for Lisa to get on.
Here's Lisa.
Hey, Lisa. How are you? She's connecting slowly. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Is your audio on? Can you hear us?
Mary.
Oh, you're muted somehow.
Maybe she's freezing.
She's got a bad connection.
That's what it's been, yeah. I've got full bars. Well, I'm not sure if we want to make sure she can hear us. Can you hear us now, Lisa?
It doesn't look like it.
No, I don't think she knows. We want to make sure she can so we can have a
Plus, she's
quorum.
having trouble.
Yeah. Yep, we just lost her. We lost our quorum.
She'll come back.
Yeah, I'm surprised to not see, let's see, we're still missing that. So how about Bird? Do we know anything about Bird? If we've talked to Bird lately? Tim, have you talked to Bird lately?
Not in the last day or two, no.
Okay. She's usually pretty prompt.
Why don't you ask Lisa if she can hear us now?
Lisa, can you hear us now? Can you hear us, Lisa?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There we go. Well, once you're here, we now have quorum. It's funny that we can hear her too, and it says her mic's off. Isn't that weird? But okay, then I am going to, if Lisa can hear me, you can hear me, right, Lisa?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Wait till we can meet in person. All right. So, Lisa, you can hear me? I don't know what she's doing. Looks like she's dancing on the Golden Gate Bridge. There we go. We're doing pretty good, better than last month. We couldn't even. Dad, so how are you this evening?
Hello.
And great. Okay. With that, so we'll let Lisa have her minute of trying to figure things out, and that gives us quorum. So I'm gonna, Jim, are you taking notes for us tonight?
I will, yes.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order at 5:04. And as always, I'll read our acknowledgement. As we gather today, we acknowledge that Eureka, California is ancestral territory of the Wiyot people. We also honor all Indigenous people and territories and sovereign governments that share governance within Humboldt County, California. We gather with respect. Hold on.
Recording in progress.
Sorry, I want to make sure I start recording. We also honor all Indigenous people and territories and sovereign governments that share governance within Humboldt County, California. We gather with respect and gratitude to these Indigenous people. We thank and honor the Indigenous caretakers of this land who continue to cherish and protect it. Their elders have instructed the young to consider the 7 generations ahead as they continue to protect the rights of the land and all people who live on it. We encourage all to align and follow the lead of local Indigenous communities as they steward the land and protect all of its natural resources. And at this time, we always take a moment of silence to just ponder that. All right. Jim, can we do roll call?
Yes, I hope I have everybody's name here. Lisa,
She's in and out. She's trying to be here.
let me see if she can hear. Lisa, can you hear us? Well, she's here.
She keeps trying to respond.
Guy,
I'm here.
okay, Larry,
Yes.
Mary is here. I'm here. Dotso? Here. Bird is not here. I don't have a full list of the names.
Eddie Morgan's not.
Eddie
here.
Morgan, that's right. I don't see him.
He was here earlier, so he may show back up.
Carol Larson.
Carol Larson, also, thank you for the help.
All right.
I don't see her as well. Anybody else I'm missing?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, we do
Desir,
have,
what about Mo Desir? I don't see-
she's not on the commission any longer.
Oh, she left the commission. Sorry.
So we do have a quorum anyway.
Okay. Then without, do we have any agenda adjustments? I don't think so. Then-
Were you going to?
Oh, approve the meeting minutes, sorry, I'm just skipping right forward. Everybody would have had time to review the April 7th meeting minutes. And those are approved now, put into the record. Go ahead, Jim.
I move that we approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
On
I'll
what,
second that.
I believe that based on, here Carol Larson's coming in. I believe that based on some facts Berg gave us, we don't move for that anymore. I'm not sure what the protocol is. We just say they're approved. All right, welcome. Carol, where'd she go?
I haven't seen her yet.
No, I just approved her to come in, but we lost her. Well, we're having technical difficulties everywhere today. Okay, minutes approved, agenda adjustments done. Yes, go ahead.
Excuse me, we haven't voted on approving the minutes yet.
We don't have to vote on minute approval anymore. We haven't for the last 4 or 5 meetings. We just read them into the record.
Okay.
Something that changed. And I believe it was
It's okay. Carol is here now. Okay.
Yeah. Well, without further ado, Chief Jarvis, we will introduce ourselves around and you can introduce yourself as well. As I said, I'm the current chair of the Human Rights Commission. And let's introduce ourselves around.
I'm Jim Glover, the vice chair.
I'm Larry
Bye.
Miller, just a long-term commissioner.
I'm Dotso Perkins. I'm a new commissioner.
Carol Larson.
Lisa's there waving at us.
Lisa Sundberg, Trinidad Rancheria tribal member, Indigenous from this area. Kind of new still. I'm still getting my bearings around this whole thing, but it's all good. Coming around.
I feel you. I think just Guy is left.
Okay, I'm treasurer.
Okay, here goes. And Chief Jarvis, you have the floor.
Good evening, Chair, and thank you for having me. I just received a text from the city manager, and he's running about 5 minutes late, but I know he planned on joining us as well. So maybe while we're waiting for him, if you wouldn't mind, I'll just introduce myself. I am the interim chief here at the Eureka Police Department, have been since January. And I served for 35 and a half years in San Diego on the San Diego Police Department. Started as a community service officer and worked my way through the ranks in the last 5 years as a chief officer and the executive assistant chief, which is second in command, running the day-to-day operations of the San Diego Police Department. When I was honored with the request to come up here and work in an interim position, I knew full well what I was coming into. I knew that there was this texting investigation that was ongoing and that former Chief Watson had recommended discipline based on that investigation prior to his retirement. So I knew, and I was briefed that I would be coming in to kind of wrap all of this up for the department and then move us forward from there. And my goal is to set the Eureka Police Department up for success for the next police chief who comes here. So hopefully that's an internal selection. What I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about the case, if you'd like. I understand that's what you were looking for, and then open it up to questions if you have any. With that in mind, there are some limitations as to what we can release publicly and speak of publicly, and that's based on the Police Officers Bill of Rights. And I can tell you that at the conclusion of this investigation, that Chief Watson did recommend discipline. I spent the first couple of weeks that I was here in Eureka just completely enveloped in this investigation. I came from an organization where I was in charge of internal affairs and professional standards. I've read hundreds and hundreds of investigations, and so I looked at this one with an eye of being pretty critical as to how it was done, and I felt like this investigation was done in an unbiased, impartial fashion. It was a third party. I felt that the lines of questioning were appropriate. I felt like the questions that needed to be asked were asked. I didn't have any concerns after really diving into this with the context of how the investigation was done. Clearly, there were things that were brought to light in the investigation that were very disturbing. Disturbing to me as a police professional and as a community member. So I also knew that I would be responsible for listening to the Skelly hearings, which is the hearings that the people facing discipline are afforded by law. I did so, and then based on what was presented to me in those hearings and what was presented in this investigation, I felt like I was in a really unique position to make a ruling in this because I knew nobody. I knew nobody when I got here. It was completely based on the facts and what was presented to me, and I chose to uphold the discipline that Chief Watson had recommended. Prior to that being imposed, the two remaining employees chose to resign and retire in lieu of that, which they had the absolute right to do. So because of that, there are some limitations as to what we can share. And I know that there has been, and we talked this morning with the Housing Commission, the city manager and I, and there are some concerns about that, but that's really legislative and needs to be brought up if there are concerns with how do we change that. But we are releasing everything that we can. What I've told you thus far, I am able to share with you. So from there, okay, this is all done. But there are some things that we've been doing ongoing. There's some things that we're still working on to ensure that this doesn't happen again, because this shouldn't have happened in the first place. It did. I can tell you that the vast majority of the officers on this department were completely embarrassed, humiliated, and really just, there's not really words to put into how disappointed I think so many people were. The people that are left on this department are committed to moving forward. And here's a few things we've done to do that. I work very closely with Captain Brian Stevens, who's been here through all of this, who was not implicated at all in any of this investigation. And in fact, when asked, people absolutely cleared him of any knowledge or wrongdoing of any of this. So I really rely on him as we move forward. But some of the things that we did immediately, the city has some ongoing initiatives. One of them is diversity, equity, and inclusion training that they had started even before COVID, but it had to kind of take a backseat during COVID. But now we are back in person doing this training. The police department is heavily involved in this. In fact, based on a lot of the training we have done already, we're actually helping train a lot of the other city workers in this and working with Fog Break, which is the vendor that was hired to work on this. The city had also been working on a police oversight board and hiring an independent police auditor. That's been done. It was the board was approved in council meeting before last, and so we're now just in that 60-day window before it takes effect. That board and the independent police auditor will report directly to the city manager. It's going to be independent of the police department. I think, I don't think, I know that in order for us to be a legitimate department and a legitimate profession, we need independent oversight. And it's going to happen here. And I'm going to do everything I can. And we are committed as a police department to assisting them in their mission. And it's only going to make us better. And so what that's going to look like is, any of our internal investigations are going to be reviewed by the independent auditor, who will report out to this board, who then has the ability to have some input with the city manager. If they don't agree with anything, it'll eventually go to the city manager for a decision. And the police department's really cut out of it, other than providing information and being a resource for policy and procedure. So that will be taking effect in 60 days. A couple things we've done here within the department is within the first couple of weeks of me being here, just by happenstance, our cell phone policy was coming under review. And working with the captain, we made some pretty serious changes. No longer can personnel here use their personal cell phones on duty unless it's an emergency. We have purchased and issued department cell phones to each employee, and there is a clear policy and procedure and how that's used. And obviously anything that you read in the paper that was improper was part of this policy to not have any of that going forward. So that's in place. Those phones have been issued. I also noted that the Eureka Police Department didn't have a specific misconduct reporting policy, which has really become the standard in the profession over the last 5 to 7 years. And we've been talking about that. We've been doing research. I have something that I'm working with the EPOA on, the Police Officer Association, the uni right now, and I hope to have that in place within the month. And what that does is it takes the onus off of someone. If they see anyone in this department violating policy, and I'm not talking about just making a mistake, but if someone is blatantly violating policy, they're going to be required to report that to a supervisor. That supervisor is going to be required to conduct an investigation. And something I've been saying since I got here is, you see it, you own it. This isn't my department. This isn't the captain's department. This is our department. Everyone here needs to take responsibility for everything that happens here. So if you see something wrong, you need to take care of it. And that's my expectation. And I look, anytime I come into a new assignment, and particularly coming here to a new department, does the culture of the organization match policy? And has been said by a friend of mine who I teach with, that culture eats policy for lunch. So what we're trying to do is make sure that our culture aligns with policy. And if it doesn't, do we need to alter that policy? Is it unreasonable? Or do we just need to make sure that the culture becomes in alignment with our policy? So we're working diligently on that every day. I have met with just about everyone on the department now one-on-one. If I haven't caught somebody, it's based on scheduling. And just talk about what my expectations are of someone working here. And I want to know what their expectations are of me. But I can tell you that without, I can't think of anyone who didn't bring this up. There's a lot of hurt here. There are a lot of people that were damaged by this entire scandal, for lack of a better word. A lot of people who have dedicated their lives to serving this community who felt they were painted with the same brush as some people who did some things that weren't professional. And we have some work to do, but I'm very encouraged by what I see as far as the attitude, the compassion that's shown, that just a recognition that that can never happen again. We asked the sheriff to cover the city of Eureka one evening for a few hours so that we could get every member of the department in one room at one time and give a consistent message. And the city manager and I kicked it off, and we talked about our expectations and that can never happen again and why it can never happen again. And it was really preaching to the choir because the people that were in that room understand that. And we're giving them the tools and the ability so that will never will happen again. We're looking at restructuring the department here in the near future, adding a different level that's not existent right now between the captain and the sergeants. I really felt like after reviewing this investigation that our weak link was our sergeants, and sometimes not their fault. We promote someone and we expect them to start knowing everything, and sometimes they don't. They need coaching, they need mentoring, and they need oversight. And had we had the ability to do that, we may have gotten in front of that situation before it got to where it was. So I've had absolute great talks with the city manager, complete buy-in. So now it's just a matter of our staffing is really rough right now. We're down to a critical point, and so we need to get a few more people out on the street so that we can promote. But that is my intention. And in the meantime, we're trying to do some stopgap issues with an acting captain who's really responsible for mentoring and coaching these sergeants and checking in on them. And then we're also looking at our vision, our values, and our mission. And the one we're working with is about 4 or 5 years old. And so the profession, as you know, has changed completely in the last couple of years. So I want to update that and make it relevant to the world we're policing in and living in. And I know that there's a lot of concern about this in the community, and rightly so. I have had months now to look at this police department, and coming to you again with experience of leading a 3,000 member department. I have seen things here that have just blown my mind as far as how well this organization does their job with so little in the way of resources. Can we be better? Yes. Are we working on being better? Yes, every day. Is it my expectation that we are better? Yes, every day. And the captain shares that with me. We'll get there. Culture isn't created in a day. You're not going to change it in a day, but I feel like we have such a great thing going here that it can only get better. And that's my commitment to you for as long as they'll keep me around. I originally thought I was coming up for 6 months, and that's coming up in 2 weeks. And no one's saying anything to me about leaving, so I'm not packing my bags yet. Is there anybody who have any questions that I can answer for you? And I don't know if the city manager was able to make it yet.
He's not here yet.
Okay.
He's not here yet, Jim.
I'd like you, if you don't mind, Chief Jarvis, to describe the characteristics of the oversight that will exist. Is it civilian? Does it include civilian input? Describe what that looks like, because I know you don't have a name for us, but I think it would be helpful for us to know just what this oversight will look like.
Sure, it's actually two-pronged. So the city a couple months ago hired an independent police auditor. Do you have the name? Yeah, we can get the name for you, but it's a company that does this for a living, and their role will be, once we complete investigations, or if we ask for an audit of a certain portion of this department, say the property room or the patrol division, they'll do that audit, and then they report back to the city manager and to the Community Oversight Board on Police Practices. That's the second prong. That is a city commission board, and it's all written out. If you go and look at the agenda for not this week's meeting, but the prior city council meeting, that recommendation is in there. But basically, it's a board appointed by council, approved by mayor, that will review the work of the IPA, that can request other work be done by the IPA, that will make recommendations to the city manager and to me about changes in policy, procedure, training, things to make this police department better and stronger and representative of the community. But it's really an opportunity for information to get directly back to the community through these representatives, and for them to have a voice in how this police department operates. Now, it is independent. It's not the board that has been in place for about a decade, where they report to the police chief and meet with the police chief. This is a completely independent board. Now, I or the captain or both of us will act as liaison to this board to provide them any information that they need. They also have the ability to do an independent review of our investigations. And if they do that, they'll get everything that we had when we made a determination in the investigation. They'll be able to see all of the evidence, body-worn camera, reports. They'll have access to all of that, and that'll be our job as a liaison to make sure they get that. And then we'll probably sit in on their closed session just to answer questions about policy if they have any, but certainly not voting members.
Guy.
Unmute myself. Chief, I was just going to ask one other question. Has there been any attempt to do outreach with any of the women's organizations in Eureka?
Actually, I have a meet the chief with the women's club next Wednesday, I believe.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I had it scheduled a month ago, and I had to postpone it for scheduling reasons, but yeah, I'll be there next week.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. You see this from Miles just texted me, and he's trying to get the link. If maybe somebody could resend that to him.
It's Lisa Sundberg. I just want to say how grateful I am that you're in there, and it sounds like you have a really good handle on just policy and how to run an organization, and it's good to have that leadership there.
Thank you.
My mom was a good friend of a police chief that I just wanted to share this and hope that we can get to, and I've said this to the previous chief as well.
Lisa,
yeah.
could I just wanted, Chief Jarvis, could you just text him and tell him to go to Humboldt County Human Rights and go to our agenda, and the link is right there in the agenda.
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, Lisa. I just want to get that so that Miles could get on with this. Go ahead.
No, oh yeah, no worries. And that is to, get, well, first of all, to get to know the people was, there was a change in how the police related to the people in the community changed when they stopped walking the beat. And, just getting to know people around town and whatnot. And I know that, you might be shorthanded and whatnot, but connecting with our community is really important. And I think that when people have less fear and know that there's a partnership with the community, I think can be very helpful. And I hope that we get to a place of, instead of it being law enforcement, that it's more of a peacekeeper mentality, and not demonizing and criminalizing people, because there's a lot of people that we get confronted with in our subject matter, which is human rights, and a lot of the homeless people that unfortunately get, in trouble for being homeless. So I hope we can develop a new attitude about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is Eddie. And coming from a relatively recent military background, when you talked about NCOs, sergeants, and officers, I mean, having good sergeants is the backbone of any organization. Any officer would know that. But I was interested in the question that Jim asked, and the question was the makeup of the person that is part of that review. And in my, is it civilian? How civilian and how much police background does that person have? I think that's kind of what I'm going at.
Okay. There was a RFP sent out by the city, and as I recall, 2 organizations responded. The one that was eventually hired was not law enforcement, but as Captain I recall, was a legal and investigative background. Now the police oversight board by ordinance can only have 1 member of the up to 7-person board that can be former law enforcement, cannot be anyone associated with the Eureka Police Department. But for instance, the current chair of the existing community oversight board was Melinda Cherubellini, who is a retired captain from the sheriff's department. So that is the only person that can be on the board. The board is then made up of community members who are selected by the council members in the different wards. And so I would suggest if anyone is interested or knows someone who's interested, unfortunately, we do have an opening with the passing of Donna Wright that created an opening on that board. So there is an opportunity for someone to serve there. But it's even written in the ordinance that it should be a diverse board representative of the community. There's also a spot in there that asks to have different community groups have a spot every meeting to present, question, and and to show what resources they have available and what they need. So that'll be part of their right now quarterly meetings, but I have a feeling they're gonna have to bump that up. But it was written in mind with having a very diverse, inclusive board that represents the community.
So to be clear, I want to make sure that I am understanding now. So the oversight is going to be 2-pronged. You did hire an auditor, and you were asking someone for the name of that auditor, and that would be a company or that's not one person, it's an auditing firm, correct? Or is it one person?
The organization, when the city manager gets here, because it works for him, he hired them.
I wanted to make sure I was clear that it was a firm. And then
if he's not able to get the link, I'll get it for you.
Okay. And then the other thing was that there is now a city formed commission, kind of like we're a county commission. There's now a city commission that is a city commission with that looks at that's an oversight about the practices. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct.
And that's the one you're saying has openings.
It's a pivot from the started as the Chiefs Advisory Board, turned into the Community Advisory Board, and now that board is pivoting into this community oversight of police practices.
Got community oversight. Got it. I just wanted to make sure in my notes, and also that I was pretty clear when you talked about the 2-prong that I was getting that. Does anybody else want to engage in conversation? Eddie?
One last question. So, Chief, do you feel comfortable with the choices that they made for the selection of the different committees to set up? Do you think that's going to set you up for success?
I've met with the old advisory board once, and I'm looking forward to working with them. As far as the independent police auditor, everything that I've heard, I'm looking forward to working with them as well. It'll be a great resource for me as a police chief to be able to have a new set of eyes on things that we do and make sure we're doing it to the top of the industry standard. I was the liaison to the Community Review Board and the advisory board to the mayor in San Diego. So we met every other week. So I've literally sat through hundreds of hours of these meetings, and some of them were very productive, some not so much. And I think if we have people that are on this board that really have a desire to help us make improvements versus just promote activism on their own agenda, which in San Diego wasn't always helpful because it wasn't really even associated with what we're trying to do. There's probably better places for that voice to be heard. But if we have people that are involved in this program and this process that are truly here to help make improvements, then yeah, it's going to be very beneficial. And if they're not, we'll work with them. We'll work with them too.
Thank you, officer. Thank you, Chief.
On a kind of personal note, from San Diego to Humboldt is almost like night and day. California is big. You're still on the same ocean, but you must have been ready to mellow out and slow down and not be stuck in freeway traffic, because I'm originally from Southern California, and it's grown so much down there. Those freeways aren't what they were in the 70s. So I hope that you're settling in and enjoying your new home and stick around for a while. It's almost like retiring when you come from someplace so big. You're like, I'm still working, but I get to.
You know, I've never lived a 4-minute drive from work before. I'm just loving that part of it. But I retired in November of 2019, and of course we know what happened in February when COVID hit, and then in June with George Floyd's murder, and my phone was just blowing up all the time with, Chief, you're so lucky you're retired. And quite frankly, I didn't feel that way. I felt the opposite. I felt like I have all this experience and I'm sitting on my couch watching all this happen to the profession and to the world. And so I spent a lot of time surfing. I wish I could surf up here, but I don't have a thick enough wetsuit. It's a little cold up here. But I'm just blessed to be able to be here, to be working with this great group of people, to be back in the profession that I love, that I've spent my life in service to. And I appreciate you all having me, and thanks for letting me be here tonight.
If you like getting out on the ocean, you should hitch a ride on the Coast Guard boat when they're doing drills out there in the mouth of the bay. That would get your juices flowing. And maybe that's what you should request for your Christmas present, a nice 7mm wetsuit.
Good idea.
There's good surfing up here. Jim, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to suggest that if there is an opening of any kind on your oversight board, that perhaps the city or you would consider having somebody from the Human Rights Commission be part of that, because they would represent a segment of the population that perhaps wouldn't be otherwise represented.
You know, it's not my board, it's the city's board, and works directly for the city manager. But I do know there will be at least this one opening, and there may even be more. There may be current members that, you know, signed up for the last board and didn't really want to be involved in something like the oversight model that we're moving into. So there may be even more opportunities. But I would just suggest, you know, for Eureka residents, contact
Miles.
council member in your ward and let them know that you're interested.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? Lisa or Carol, because you can't raise your hands, I thought I'd reach out. At this time, we do have a community member, Ellen Murphy. Did you want to ask any questions of the chief?
Not at this time, but thank you, and it's nice to meet you.
All right. Well, Chief, I don't think you need to hang out for Miles. Tell Miles that he can join us for the next meeting if he wants to and say hello. And I apologize that he didn't have the right contact info, but thank you very much. I personally, and I think I could say this on behalf of the entire commission, and want to really thank you for giving, I've got a whole long page of notes from all of the information that you gave us today. And I think that it goes far to assuage us, because this was originally brought to us as Human Rights Commission, of course. in the first place quite a bit ago. So we've been getting monthly updates for a while, and I think unless the commission thinks, I think that we can put the EPD texting updates in that case to rest. Does everybody agree with that kind of?
I would second that. This is Morgan.
So, yeah, thank you, Eddie. So on behalf of the Human Rights Commission, thank you for your time and sticking around at the end of your shift for us. We appreciate it. You can feel free to stay, but I think we're just going to talk about other stuff now.
Thank you. I'm gonna head next door to my volunteers meeting.
Okay, enjoy your evening. Enjoy your evening, Chief Jarvis.
Appreciate all of you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, that was a great update. I was really happy to see that.
Should we make the motion to table the issue until further notice, or do we want to vote? How does that work, Jim?
We no longer had it as a new or old business. It's just, it wasn't even unfinished business. We were just waiting for him to come speak. I think that we had tabled it already. But
Jim, is that your recollection?
I didn't know that we had tabled it, but I would recommend that I would move that we no longer follow this issue unless some new developments take place.
Okay, motion seconded by.
I will second the motion.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor?
All in favor?
Yeah, Carol and Lisa?
Aye.
All right, looks unanimous. Great. All right. At this time, public comments. If anybody, Ellen, did you have public comment today?
No, I don't think so. I was just thinking about the human rights survey and how it connected to a lot of what he was saying and the comments from you all. So I was just reflecting on that.
All right, indeed. There's a lot of food for thought. I live in Eureka. All right, commission communications, emails and regular mail, I suppose. That might be a good time for, well, I guess, or anybody have any emails or regular mail they wanted to discuss? Guy?
I
Guy
have.
had his hand up. Hold on, Guy had his hand up. Guy? You want Jim to go first? Okay, Jim.
That's fine.
Well, I just wanted to let you know that we have a bill here from the Coffee Center. That's the only mail I've picked up at the supervisor's office.
Okay, I guess get that to Guy so he can.
I'll make sure that Guy gets that. Yeah.
Thanks, that would be great. Yeah, my only communication I had was from the McLean Foundation. I did put in our grant application after consultation with all of you, and they have some questions on how our grant would impact people in the Garberville, Redway area, and I'm going to have a meeting with them, I believe, next Tuesday. And Bird, who I don't believe is here still, is going to try to be online, I guess, with me on that. And again, if any of you have, any kind of suggestions you want to send my way, I'll appreciate it. But other than that, that's about the only communication I had.
All right, and then other announcements and communications. I did finally was able to take care of a couple things that have been dangling forever. We were able to work with the IT department. They kept sending me a reset the password for the HHR official accounting account. And finally, I got a great guy in the IT department who seemed to realize that because I didn't have a county computer, I could not reset the password, even though they kept sending me a reset the password. It would not allow me to do it. So he helped me reset the password over the phone, which was awesome. So we were able to update that and get a new password because there's just been a lot of folks who are no longer on the board who had the password before. And then moving on from there, I was able to finally, after over 2 months of requesting, again, the same guy, so I have a direct link to a IT person's number. He was able to explain that they do not have Zoom accounts for us at this time, or for anybody. They only have 4 government Zoom accounts for like the supervisors meeting and courtrooms. And then I was able to finally have a meeting with Virginia Batts. And so Virginia and I spoke about a couple things. One thing that we spoke about, first of all, was what happened with the call for action homelessness letter that we had sent that we never received any response from. And we had wanted a response in December, and I've been emailing to find out what was going on with that for a little bit, as other commissioners had. And she said that she felt remiss, and if we would resend it to her, that she would look at it herself this week and list if anything of those requests have taken place since that letter was written. So I'm holding her to that, holding her feet to the fire on that. I also spoke with her about a meeting place because there's no longer a meeting place for us. And she said that she would put me directly in contact with somebody from the Vets Hall, because since it's been redone, it's supposed to have good internet connection, good services. So then on that note, I was like, okay, so Zoom now. So Zoom account, we will be able to run it through moving forward through HHR. So starting next month, it'll go there so that it's a little bit more streamlined for everyone. And I said, well, that's money that we're taking out of grants that we get from McLean Foundation and such. How do I go about asking for a stipend for the Human Rights Commission from the supervisors? And she said, what number was I thinking of? That she would put in a request herself for that. So it seemed like I got some pretty good feedback and response for Virginia, since I am her chosen, commissioner on the commission. I was glad to finally be able to talk to her. I suggested that I don't know how much it would cost for us to rent the place. As Jim and I were talking before the meeting, I don't know how much they would charge us to use a meeting spot there once a month. So I'll get information on that. But at this time, and then it would cost $15 a month for Zoom, or $140 a year. I think it's $139 a year if we buy it for a year. Well, there's 2 different accounts, so I think I would look at that with you, Guy, and we would come up with which one it's for you to pay for. Almost done, Larry. And then I told her that I felt that the county should at least pay for our place and for our Zoom account. And I'm not sure, but I said that I thought somewhere in the amount of $1,000, give or take, a year for us to be able to pay for that and not be using grant funds that could be better put to use on human rights issues. All right, and now Larry. Your mic's off, Larry.
Larry, your microphone's off.
Mic's off. Turn your microphone on. There we go.
No, we're still off.
Still off, Larry.
No, you're good, Larry. We just heard you.
Maybe I can unmute.
You're off, Larry, now.
Hold on, Larry. I can only ask to unmute you.
Right on your screen, Larry, where the picture is, you should have a button.
I'm unmuted, but I can't see anything now. It says
Well, you put your glasses back on now.
We can see you.
Yeah.
You can see me. That's interesting. How do I turn that back on.
Well, let me
That's
look.
crazy. I've got a meeting solutions. It's a Zoom, a leader in 21 Garter Magic Quadrant meeting solutions. Why am I here? It says, want me to read the report. I don't know. Maybe I can just click out of here and see what happens.
Larry, go down to the bottom of your computer and look for the little camera icon. I think you just minimized your camera icon. Go down to the bottom of your computer. Should be a little blue icon.
Yeah, okay, wait a minute.
You see it?
Bolt, what the hell's that? Oh, I mean, hex.
Okay.
Maybe I should just get off and see if I can get back on regular or something.
Sure, go ahead and try that.
Hey. Sorry.
You're back.
Okay. I'm wondering why we can't use the same room. That's such a,
I have an
that's the seat of government. That's
Okay,
where,
Larry?
we should be.
Larry, I talked
Yeah, I know Jim.
I talked to Virginia about that, and that was my first question. And she said that room over the course of time became an IT room and other things to support what was going on with all the different changes technologically during COVID. And that room is no longer available to anyone, not the grand jury or anyone. That room is no longer available, period. That room is.
Where's the grand jury meeting?
They're looking to meet somewhere else too. I think at the vet
But just for explanation, the grand jury is going to be meeting at the Vets Hall, but at a cost of $250 per meeting. So, but we're funded by the county, so that's a little, or by the courts, so that's a little bit different situation.
How many hours do you meet, Jim?
Pardon?
How many hours long is that meeting?
Well, I'm not sure that's important, but
Well, I mean, is it all day or 2 hours? That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
Ready? The meetings are 3 hours long.
Got it.
Once a week. So I wish we could get a deal that would be affordable or have the county fund it, but I haven't heard them offer to do that yet.
Can I? Well,
Go ahead, Larry.
It seems to me that we are by ordinance a part of the county, and it's incredible to me that they're unwilling. They would be unwilling to fund what is necessary for us to perform our responsibilities. I'm wondering. Yeah, that just doesn't sound right to me. I'm sorry.
But Virginia said that they would be. I just have to come up with a number, and she's going to present it to the supervisors.
$250 a meeting.
Perhaps it wouldn't be that much for us, but if I can.
Carol, I think Carol's trying to have her hand up. Carol, is there a way you can raise your hand, or are you just on your phone, huh?
No, I'm on my computer, and if I use my video, I don't have a stable connection.
Do you know how to raise your hand?
I'm looking for the view where I could see.
It's okay, though. I know you're here now, so it's your turn, Carol.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Have we looked into the Adorney Center? They have a community room, and it might be cheaper than the vets.
Okay. Good suggestion.
Yeah, the person you want to talk at the vets is Bill Long, and I can send the number if you don't have it already.
Okay, Jim.
I have his number too.
Yep.
Well, this all goes back to what we've been kind of kicking down the road a few times. We were supposed to be thinking about asking for some funding from the county. Well, it seems to me that part of that ask could be to pay for a meeting space at wherever, whether it's at the Vets Hall or somewhere else. But if we don't ask them for funding, which they're in the middle of their budget requests as we speak, they're going to find it hard to justify adding to an already approved budget.
I agree, and that's what Virginia and I discussed. So I made it pretty clear to her that I wanted to have wherever we were meeting and our Zoom account be. I don't know if what else we would want to ask for. Do we want to ask for printing, a couple $100 a year for printing? What do we print?
Well, that's what we need to do. We need to decide what our expenses are that are justifiable and make that a presentation, not piecemeal, but as a package.
Right. Sooner than later. So, yeah, Larry?
I was just gonna, real quick, Jim, are you going to have any kind of security there at the Vets Hall for your meetings?
Security?
Like we have at the courthouse? Security?
No.
Okay, and you're not, they're not in
grand jury's meetings are daytime and I have a key. So, but there's no metal detectors or anything like that, no.
I just remembered I forgot to ask her about storage, darn it. I'll send that in tonight's email to her.
Yeah, I'd be opposed to paying for security. I don't think we need it, not in our situation.
No, I don't either. I'm just curious to see if the grand jury had, because if they had, maybe we could, I don't care. Yeah, I agree. I don't
That's
think
not
we
been
need
a factor.
We never in the first place. It's not really.
All right.
Doesn't work.
Okay. Any further discussion on those kind of events or things that I think it will be really nice when we can finally meet in person. I've never met Dotso and I've never met Lisa in person. And it's been a long time since I've seen you, Larry. And Guy, I only met you in person because we had to. Okay, let's go ahead and move to message line. I did notice that, Jim, you've been beating me to it, but this is my time right now. So thanks for collecting messages for me. I collected them today. But thank you for that.
I relayed one to Larry and I'm sure he's on it.
Yep, I saw that. I went into ad today. So I kind of looked over the report. Carol, do you have anything for April 1st through the 15th to report?
That was me.
That was Dotso.
Oh, Dotso, I'm sorry. What am I thinking?
Is my spreadsheet the same one that you guys see? Because when I look at it, I just see what I wrote down.
Let's look and see.
Let's see.
I can share the.
I think your last one was April 27th, Dotso. I thought.
Here we go, right here. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
I don't want to leave it up, but yeah, so it's that one. I don't think we want to publicly show it, but yeah, I believe that we're all the same.
Okay, so my spreadsheet automatically goes into there.
Yeah.
You're seeing my input on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should only be one place to put it.
Right. Are you still putting it on the intake form, the Google form?
No, mine just shows only my input. I don't see everyone else's. I'll look at it again. It's not opening for me right now.
Yeah, let's look at that. We could set up time to look at that offline so that we're not sharing what could be private information by sharing it now.
Yeah.
But we saw you. You were there.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Do you want me to make my report? It's been a while here. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing it now. Weird. That was weird. It must have just been incomplete. Before, when I looked at it, it was just my stuff on here. I'm seeing everyone on here now. An inmate at the Humboldt County Jail she called and had been denied. She felt like she was denied medical care, phone calls, and a lawyer. Larry contacted her probation officer and felt like she had representation and she had a support system she didn't appear to still be in jail. And then I had a woman call and didn't leave any information at all about an employee getting tribal money. That, you know, the employee was doing it the wrong way. There was no way for me to respond to that person. And then, which it's another person called, and I got really busy and I didn't leave. It was on April 7th, I believe. I didn't put all it in there. There's a lot was said. And it seems like that person's kind of a reoccurring caller. And I actually never actually responded to that person. I had every intention to respond to them, but things have been really busy and my daughter has been sick and then time passed. So I don't know, should I go ahead and respond to that person this late or?
If you felt that it was, what generally speaking, without giving any private information, do you feel that it was something that was incomplete if you didn't respond to them?
No, I didn't. I felt like the person wanted to talk and, you know, left multiple messages in a row, long messages. And I just felt like they were, you know, feeling like
did they have a specific question?
No, not necessarily. I just came in here. I don't have my notes. I had a little notebook with my notes because I didn't actually put on there yet. It's just a lot of concerns, and it sounded like, you know, they just
wanted someone to talk to.
Wanted someone to talk to, yeah. And I felt, and I reached out to you guys and asked if you guys had, because it sounded like they were familiar with at least some of you guys, and I reached out and someone kind of mentioned that, you know, they probably just wanted to be talked to, and I intended to call them back and talk to them, and then just time kind of went by and I did not.
Larry, I saw your hand up.
Well, yeah, that's a real hard call. You know, if it's a really critical situation, they would call back, you know, and request for something specific. So yeah, I think, you know, you're right. It's kind of a judgment call. If you feel, you know, if you have kind of issues about it, you know, give them a call back. It won't hurt anything for sure.
Yeah. I agree with you. I intended to. When I got the call, I was driving on the road, and then I was going to go home, and I was going to call the next day. But he left 3 messages in a row because he ran out of time on the machine, and so.
Yeah, you know, a lot of times just the fact that we respond and listen is all that is really, you know, needed. And it sounds like this may be one of those situations.
Yeah. Reach out.
Yeah.
All right, from the 16th to the 30th was Mr. Haney, and I noticed that Larry and Jim kind of worked on those. Does anybody want to report on any of those? Larry? I think that's it. Larry, I think that's when we got the call from the person from the jail, my liaison on that, right?
No, you got the wrong time period. I didn't pick up any of David's April 16th to 30th. I started May 1st.
Which was my time.
Right, because I hadn't seen any activity there, so I thought it was his.
That's okay.
Plan to go back in time.
That's
I don't
okay.
remember any from David either, so.
All right. I didn't see anything on there. I didn't see anything posted after the April 26th.
And he just simply didn't get any calls.
Yeah, and Jim posted the April 27th call, so I think we're good to go. Okay, I have not gotten anything, and neither has Jim up to this point, except for that one on April 27th.
No. That's,
what do you have? What do you have,
I
Jim?
mentioned that the one I did pick up in May was referred to Larry because it was a call from an inmate at the Humboldt County Correctional Facility. And I think Larry was going to call, but I don't know if he's had a chance to yet.
Yeah, I called Marcella this morning about it and gave her the name of the inmate and told her that I would take the call and would probably be able to take it, you know, pretty much as long as, you know, before 7 at night and after 8 in the morning. So anyway, yeah. So that's where we stand on that one. Marcella has not called me back. And sometimes it takes a day or two for her to respond.
Got it. All right. Good. Just looking to see if there's anything else. I looked at the message line real quick myself too. Okay, so we have how far were we? I don't have that note in front of me. We have June 1st and June 15th set up. Do we have July 1st yet?
Not yet.
There's Lisa coming back. Guy, you'll take July 1st? All right, thank you, Guy. Does anybody want to do the 15th through 31st? Okay, we've got Jim Glover, okay.
I'll do August 1st. and the
Okay.
15th.
August 1st, who was that saying that?
Carol.
Carol, I think.
Carol, thanks, Carol.
I would do
Okay,
the second half of August.
and that's Datso?
Yeah, sorry. That's it.
Okay, we've moved out pretty far. Good, perfect, awesome, love it. Gets us all of a sudden ready to go back to teaching. I'll have 2 months off to breathe and it'll be time to teach again. Okay, well, let's move on to the treasurer's report. Mr. Aronoff.
So formal. Current balance as of yesterday, May the 4th be with you, is $1,029.77. And I think the only thing I need to ask, I guess the group, it didn't bring it up in your earlier commentary, Google Suite, are we going to be continuing? Because I noticed from the bank, as all this money goes out without me ever having to say anything, it's all done through our illustrious debit card. Google Suite just went up, so it's close to, I think, almost $80 a month now.
Wow.
We're very close. We should be able to shut that down this month, Guy.
Okay. Okay, and you'll have to let me know how we do that too, because like I said, it's on an automatic payment plan right now. So I assume I can just contact the bank and say, turn it off, but just want to make sure. Okay. But other than that, we're, doing okay. And I mentioned earlier that, I did apply for another grant, but I did want to hear from Bird because she seemed to want to get in touch. She's had a relationship already with Miss Marshall at the McLean Foundation.
And we'll also be switching our Zoom to our account. So it'll just be the same amount of money, but we'll be switching it over and probably just pay for the whole year and get reimbursed. Okay, cool. Correctional Facilities Liaison Report.
Can I say something real quick?
Oh, sure, Eddie, go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
so since I'm leaving, I'll go ahead and shut all the Google stuff for you guys.
Let's set up a meeting and do that then, okay? You're leaving? When are you leaving?
Well, at the end of my term.
Oh, got it. There's Bird. Okay, thanks, Eddie. We'll get together on that. Hi, Bird. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm sorry I was late. I got caught up in a family phone call.
That's okay. You might want to, at some point when the recording is up, you can listen to what the acting chief gave a really great report tonight. So I think you'll be interested in hearing that.
Thank you. I'll check it out. Thank you.
Correctional Facilities Liaison Report. And thank you, Eddie.
Well, I've been pretty quiet. We've gotten just two inmates interested in talking with us. The one that we already talked about, the one that Jim referred to, came in through the regular phone line. The other one actually came through Marcella. She called me and said a female inmate was interested in talking with the commission, and I said, aha. that's just for Mary to handle. And so we set that up for Mary to do it on her cell phone on the way to work on a Monday morning, I believe it was. She was all there ready to go. The inmate talked to Marcella and said she didn't want to get up that early. So end of statement. And I don't expect to hear back from her. So anyway.
Well, Marcella,
I appreciate you for, stepping up there, Mary, on your way to work and trying to handle it. But anyway, those are the only two calls that I have to discuss. So
I think the best part about it was I got to get to know Marcella because we talked 2 or 3 times, and I got to learn a little bit more about it. And I had even offered to do it later in the day too, but it just was what it was. She no longer felt she needed to. It wasn't a pressing matter to her anymore.
Right.
All right. Let us move on then to the standing committee reports. We have, at this time, we had Mr. Morgan and Mr. Aronoff are left. Mr. Haney is gone. Did we have a meeting? Sanctuary ordinance meeting?
We did not have a meeting. It's not that I'm aware of. And I did contact, I know when David was working, he was working with one of the Latino organizations in Eureka. I just contacted them actually just this week to see if perhaps at one of our future meetings, they would actually show up and maybe give us a short presentation of what they're doing and what some of their concerns are. But of course, with David's disappearance and Eddie is going to be retiring, obviously the committee is going to have to be reorganized because that's going to leave one person here fairly shortly, I think.
Indeed. I'm not sure what building was. My door telling me someone's there. What the Sanctuary Ordinance Committee, when it was originally designed, it was when we were putting together the Sanctuary Ordinance, working on the Sanctuary Ordinance that did get passed by Humboldt County. What is the purpose of the Sanctuary Ordinance Committee at this point in time? It hasn't met for quite a while. Should we have the Sanctuary Ordinance Committee as a standing committee any longer? I would like to entertain some discussion on that. Bert?
Well, I think we really should have it because it is in the ordinance that we are to look at any complaints that come in. So I think we need to have a standing committee, even if they don't have a lot to do every month. It needs to be in place to take action if necessary.
Thank you for reminding us and having that spoken back into the record. Eddie?
I think Larry was before me, so he can go.
I just gonna say, I was under the understanding that the chair and the vice chair and the secretary were to be the review board if a complaint came in concerning the ordinance, that they would hear it. They would be the ones hearing it. Isn't that correct, Bert? Do you understand it to be that?
I'm not sure. I thought we set up the committee to do that. May have been that way before. Jim, do you remember?
Well, yeah, I think maybe that was the committee at one point was composed of the chair and the officers.
Right, but I don't think it had to be. I think it's a standing committee, but the people on it can change. Is that right, Jim?
That's the way I recall as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Sanctuary Committee is it's a Cold War relic. I mean, granted, they're using it in Poland right now with all the people they're going over, but in most places, the that particular committee just activates when you have somebody asking for sanctuary. That's usually what happens is somebody comes and says, hey, I want sanctuary. I know we correlate it now more with immigration and everything like that, but it usually has to do with somebody running away from somewhere where they think they're going to get hurt. And then when that person comes to that court or wherever, what institution, then the Human Rights Commission activates that committee.
This was kind of formed when we had specifically Humboldt County and other areas were putting together sanctuary ordinances to get passed.
And this,
that was specifically for that. Go ahead, Bert.
this ordinance is the Humboldt County one, and it has to do with anybody making a complaint about something that they think was not followed in the ordinance. So it doesn't have to be someone asking for sanctuary so much as just someone who thinks that the ordinance was not followed.
Yeah, but I said that's the origins of it.
Exactly.
Bert,
Okay.
you came really broken and distorted.
Okay, Guy, would you be willing to, for the time being, be the lead on the Sanctuary Ordinance Committee?
Sure.
And could I get one or two other people to volunteer to be on that committee? Thank you, Bert.
I will.
And Larry Miller. Okay, thank you, guys. Just so that we have some folks in place during transitions. I appreciate all of you. Human Trafficking Fund, Mr. Glover.
Well, we haven't met. The primary reason for that goes back to the funding that we were talking about earlier. We didn't know how much money we might need or want because we hadn't put in a request to the county. So what I would like to do, and because we haven't met recently, I'd like to call a meeting in the next week or so, maybe 10 days, of Eddie, Bird, and Lisa to meet and discuss what kind of funding we need, what we want to look for down the road. Bird?
I did look on the Humboldt Area Foundation website for the funds, and it is listed, and it's listed as saying there's 20,000 available. So we need to make some change about that. We need to be sure that what is there, which is somewhere around 5,000 or 6,000.
It's 5,470 or something like that. Yeah.
We need to be sure that that gets changed because it's what's on the website is not correct.
At any rate, I'll be reaching out to the committee members sometime in the next few days to see if we can set up a meeting.
And Jim, would you be able to get a hold of PAF and let them know what the exact amount is? So they can
I've reported that exact figure before, but I will again.
No, I mean to contact PAF, Humboldt Area Foundation, they can make that correction on the website.
I wrote that down.
Thank you, I appreciate you. Great. Okay, our ad hoc. Who?
Mary, this is Carol. Sorry to
Okay,
interrupt.
go Carol, go Carol.
I can't find my little hand.
That's okay, Andrew. Yellow.
I wanted to ask the committee if they would be willing to invite Katrina Taylor Sims back again. I know Lisa was there the last day. We attended a conference at Blue Lake, and it was Indigenous Women of Wonder. And Katrina was one of the speakers, and it was really important information that she gave out. And so I said I would ask the commission if we could invite her back again, because when she first met with us, she had a perception of what she wanted to do. And now that she is, I think she received our grant, she handed out a laminated human trafficking hotline information. And I think that's the money that was used.
I agree, Carol.
I would second that.
Yeah, I think that we probably should ask her to come report on what she did. That's a great idea, Carol. Bert?
Do you mean report to the committee or report to the commission?
To the commission. Bert?
Yes, to the commission. And also, we have talked with her. She is prepared to report to the Board of Supervisors, and we were going to try to coordinate that with asking for the money, but that has not happened yet.
Okay.
Well, anyway, committee members, I'll be reaching out to you very shortly to see when we can all get together.
Good.
So Lisa, I see that you sent a text, into the chat line. I'd appreciate if you could send it in an email to all of us afterwards, okay?
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I did look at it for a second, and I think it's something that we should all look at. Thanks, you guys. I do think that's a great idea. If Jim, if you wanted to reach out to Katrina, since you're the point person for the Human Trafficking Fund, would you be able to do that?
Yep.
Or anybody else? Yeah. So let's move on to racism and cultural awareness.
That's me.
Jude, what do you got for us, hon?
So what I did was I made a draft list and I sent it out to Larry and David, but I didn't include Bird. So Bird, I'll have to include you. I have some more contact information to put on that resource list. And then most of the stuff I have is Indigenous and Native. So I need some more input from Bird, maybe with the Hispanic, and from Larry as well. And I know Larry did give me some initial resource contacts in order to put on the list. So I do have that. Yes. Bert?
Just some information for you. The League of Women Voters has someone who is working on voter registration who would like to reach out to any tribal group that would like her to come and help people register to vote. If if the tribe would be willing to set up something, she would come and help people register if they're not already registered. So I'll send you an email with her information if you'd like.
Could you also send that to Lisa?
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you.
Awesome. I love it. Homelessness committee report. That would be Guy.
All by my lonesome. Now, nothing going on at this point. We're gonna have to see if we can appoint some new members because it's pretty quiet out there right now.
Anybody like to volunteer to be on the committee with Guy so that he's not by himself? There's only one person on there. Or we'll get back to it. Guy, would you be able to take on resending the letter specifically to Virginia and myself both so that we're both included in it? So I know she got it. Resend the call to action letter that was sent to the supervisors. Could you resend that to Virginia and include me in that email? Did you freeze, Kai?
I didn't catch part of your comment. Please repeat.
Okay. Could you remember what I was talking about earlier? Could you resend the call to action letter that we sent to the board? Could you resend it to Virginia Bass and myself?
Okay.
Include me in it too. And that way the three of us are in there together so that we're all seeing what's happening.
Gotcha. No problem.
Thanks. And send it to the hhr@co.humboldt, that email address, okay?
Yeah.
Thanks, Guy. That way we get maybe something on it. Okay, human rights survey. Miss Lochte, what do you got for us?
Well, it's actually Jim and Ellen.
Okay, Jim and Ellen, what do you got for us?
Okay, well, I hope you have a few minutes because on May 24th, Ellen will be making a presentation to the Board of Supervisors on our behalf. Hi, Ellen. And so she has prepared a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if you're going to do the whole thing tonight or just do an abbreviated version, but we wanted to get your reaction to it. I've seen it and I'm quite happy with it. I know Bert is too. We didn't do an annual report to the Board of Supervisors, but this may, in a sense, be our substitute for that because it's all about human rights. So with that, Ellen, do you need to share the screen?
Yeah,
Let me
I
make
can
sure
share
that
this.
Let me double check to make sure everybody, yep, it's all set. I want to make sure I had that set already. This is exciting.
All right. So I was hoping to go through all of it. It's about 12 minutes long, and if I'm happy to hear any input and thoughts and whatnot. But I wanted to make sure that this is something that you all like to be presented to the Board of Supervisors. So I would like to hear any feedback that you have. Good evening. My name is Ellen Murphy, and I am a recent graduate from the Social Work Department at Cal Poly Humboldt. The Humboldt County Human Rights Commission and I conducted a survey entitled Humboldt County Human Rights Community Survey. I think I went too far. Sorry about that. The commission was created in 1965 by the Humboldt County by the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors to address human rights concerns. With Senate Bill 381 in 2001, the commission was significantly broadened its purpose and scope regarding the type of issues it can help resolve. The commission has 15 members, 3 from each district in the county. However, not all positions are filled at this time. Messed up again. I'm so sorry. The function of the commission is to, quote, aid in the eradication of the discrimination in housing, employment, education, public accommodation, race, religious creed, color, national origin, ancestry, physical disability, mental disability, marital status, gender, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, civil interest, or other factors. I want to express my gratitude for the generosity of all the people that took the time to complete the survey. This research is community-based. It would not have been possible without the community's time, consideration, and efforts. So thank you. I feel responsible for the accuracy and respectfully sharing results. This data belongs to and should benefit our community. The survey started in December of 2021 and ended on March 15th of 2022. A total of 366 residents responded to survey questions from all over the county. Both adults and teens were included. The broad question we asked was, what is the awareness and understanding of human rights among residents of Humboldt County? The commission aims to better understand residents' lived experiences to make policy recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. It is hoped that the policy recommendations will increase diversity, inclusivity, and equity. The evaluation method was an 18-question survey with both qualitative and quantitative questions. 34 teens and 332 adults consented to complete the survey. The survey was primarily conducted on Google Forms. However, some surveys were on paper. The qualitative approach to inquiry was phenomenological in that it examined the lived experience of residents in terms of how they interpret and experience human rights. It was also a critical ethnography in that it was examined a shared experience of living in Humboldt County, or culture sharing group, and our intent is to advance human rights. Based on demographic information collected during the survey, participation was roughly representative of county demographic makeup in terms of race, gender, house status as reported. For example, about 5% of participants identified as Indigenous versus 6% calculated by the Census Bureau. Additionally, about 83% of our population identified as white and 76 identified as such in a survey. Self-identified females represented a plurality of participants with 45%. And they make up just over 50% of the adult population. Regarding house status, 2.5 of people who completed the survey reported they were houseless, about twice the percent reported with a point-in-time count in 2019. However, this percentage is argued by some to be an undercount of total unhoused individuals. When addressing a definition of human rights, community members primarily identified human rights as freedoms from or the right to, and often correlated to written laws or declarations, frequently mentioning the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In addition, a significant portion reference equity or inequality, often referring to basic human needs such as housing, healthcare, and education. A smaller number of participants mentioned an innate quality of human rights, making comments like, "I consider the Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations as my guidepost. Anything that is a basic need inherently belongs to all humans. And safety, wellness, and dignity we all deserve while living in this world together." For me, human rights includes freedom, security, particularly from state powers, and access to the basic human needs such as food, shelter, healthcare, education, and other aspects related to the quality of life. Human rights are inherently held by all humans, all individuals and communities, and are not granted but are self-evident. Additionally, rights implicate an inherent shared responsibility to one's community. Human rights can be understood as a collective, emphasizing the importance of relationships between individuals, communities, and the environment. For example, Indigenous communities have the right of sovereignty. Furthermore, individualistic definitions of laws that determine permissiveness de-emphasize aspirational and collective interpretations of human rights. When asked whether or not community members felt that human rights were adequately protected, 14% of teens and adults believed that they were protected. However, 50% of adults indicated that human rights were not adequately protected. A significant statistic, but what does that mean? The most common example of human rights violations, as reported by respondents, were around homelessness or houselessness, lack of medical and behavioral health resources, and the third most common focused on law enforcement. With that said, most community members mentioned the combination of these factors in their responses. I think this is significant because these issues are interrelated. The paragraph to the right illustrates the survey results on housing status as mentioned earlier, with a total of 2.5% reporting that they were houseless upon completion of the survey. Housing was the most commonly mentioned example of human rights violations in Humboldt County. Community members made comments about housing and human rights violations like lack of housing for the homeless, access to housing, housing crisis, drug crisis fueling homelessness, continued colonialism and racist frameworks within our government, law enforcement, education, and other systems institutions. Inequality and equity in the legal and housing process, and access to food, housing, and medical care. Access to behavioral and medical health care was the second most common mentioned violation of human rights. Community members made comments on what they saw as common violations like lack of medical and mental health care in our county, lack of medical care that is readily available and affordable without expensive insurance, adequate health care, the way the houseless are treated and those with addiction and mental health problems, the lack of mental health care in Humboldt County. Law enforcement was the third most common example of human rights violations among community members who participated in the survey. For example, people said things like police brutality, racism, police resident interactions, ICE enforcement, profiling by police, I lost my place, by people of color, unequal police treatment, unequal court treatment, domestic abuse, sexual abuse, trafficking, harassment of homeless people by police. We learned that many community members are concerned about their human rights and the rights of their fellow community members. These concerns are primarily around housing, access to behavioral and medical health care, law enforcement, and these issues are interconnected. We learned that over 50% of adults and 80% of teens that took the survey were unaware of the function of the Human Rights Commission. This indicates that the Commission can do a better job at outreach. In addition, the Commission requires the support of all residents, including the support of community leaders, media representatives, people experiencing violations of their human rights, policymakers, activists, opinion leaders in our community. The more public support the commission has, the more credibility it will have, and the better able it will be to the more credible it will have, more credibility it will have, and the better it will be able to advocate for residents with and for residents. Lessons learned in terms of potential policy recommendations. The lived experiences of community members have shown that the connection with Humboldt rights regarding the fundamental values they wish to embody with the community rights. Human rights for community members entail foreseeable freedoms correlated to written laws and are about equity and equality related to basic human needs, and human rights are innately held. The violations observed and experienced are around housing, behavioral and medical health care, and law enforcement. These issues are not separate and are highly intertwined and interconnected. This fact should inform policy, and these issues are not new to us and continue to cause harm. The word cloud represents participants' thought about the future of Humboldt County when it comes to human rights. I was struck by the comments cautiously hopeful and sometimes cynical tone. The next steps for the commission will entail continued efforts outreach with a common request from community members. In terms of the next steps for the commission, outreach needs to be primary importance, expanding the social media presence, considering focus groups that look at specific populations like likely to experience violations of their human rights, such as unhoused people or community members or members who are incarcerated, would aid in the ongoing assessment of human rights. Additionally, including the more rural areas of the county would be an insight that have the potential to be missed. In the Board of Supervisors, we ask that issues of diversity, inclusivity, and equity be considered when policy decisions are being made, noting that any policies that are likely to affect all aspects of a community's life, namely policies around housing, access to behavioral and medical health care, and law enforcement. Humboldt County is a diverse rural community with a long history of many unique ways of living. Our community has many strengths that can be enhanced to build a more equitable and sustainable society. I will be posting an executive summary of survey findings on the commission website for anyone to access. To conclude, thank you for listening to our report, and I welcome any questions.
Ellen? Your public meeting, it's Thursday of each month, not Tuesday.
Oh,
No.
thank you.
No, it's Tuesday of each month.
Humboldt Human Rights Commission?
No, I thought you were talking about the
You
board.
said a public meeting the first Tuesday of each month, is first Thursday of each month.
Tuesday.
Um,
That needs
That
to be.
was really, that was really awesome. There were just a few little grammatical errors that I'm sure
Yeah.
Bird noticed along with me.
I noticed
like,
for sure.
Bird was seeing it with me. So we don't want to take the time up during the meeting, but that was quite excellent, Ellen. I'm very impressed. Thank you for your diligence and your hard work. And if you would share a copy of the slideshow with us, or if you want, I can just email you the things that I saw, and Bert can too, so that we can look at them and tell you, just like Tuesday should be Thursday. Otherwise, there's just 3 other little things I saw, and I know for a fact Bert told you. But no, it was quite well done. I really liked it. How did everybody else?
I think the board will be impressed.
I do too.
I think Eddie has his hand.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think you did a great job and everything like that. But with the problem with all good presentations, they make people want to ask more questions. The thing that I was thinking about, and you kind of touched on it, is what are the hopes of the future? I mean, what does the morale look like? And you did touch on it, so maybe I missed that, because I would be looking at the rate of change. So okay, we know we always have issues, and so is the rate of change satisfying, and are you and anybody doing enough to make that change? I'd be very interested about that.
Yeah.
and to get people involved. And so it's the same thing if you asked, how do you feel about the speed of the internet? Most people would say, oh, it's really suck. It could do better. But compare it. So how do we incorporate that so that we have everybody turned on in that area? But a great presentation. I think you will do excellent. Thank you very much for doing that.
I'm really proud of you. Bird?
I would like to say that when we set this up, the idea was to come up with facts and ideas so that we could think about suggestions we want to make to the Board of Supervisors for policy changes. And I think that's what we need to focus on now. Where do we see information that we can use to put into potential policies for the Board of Supervisors? So I think that's what we need to focus on now.
Yeah.
I agree with that because I've been on a health board, and if healthcare is one of the areas that we're saying we're lacking in service to the area, we need policies to attract the doctors and nurses and dentists that we need in the professional expertise. And with the cost of housing as it is, even at the clinic when I was on the board there, and Carol can confirm this, trying to keep good medical staff, in an area to support our rural areas, we need to think of things that we can to make things attractive up here so that we can get these services to people. It's not just about a human right, it's about having access, and we have to think about how we can leverage policy to make that happen in a positive way. I really love the presentation. Can you be on my committee and help me with, with my, I'm sitting there going, man, those graphics are great. The thinking and the thought process was great. And I agree with Bird. We need to focus on also the next stages of really making some solid recommendations. Because identifying the problem's easy. It's coming up with, really creative ideas that are executable.
Yeah.
That we, get a handful of them that we can just start working with the county on.
I agree. Jim?
One of the things that I took away from this coincides with some of my other work. And we did a tour of the correctional facility recently. And it was indicated in a presentation that we had that 90% of the Lisa, are you all right?
Yeah, I am. My phone's just charging.
Oh, I thought you fell.
Yeah, me too.
She's flying over the Golden Gate Bridge.
Anyway, we were told that 90% of the inmates in the jail have some degree of mental behavioral health problems. And it wouldn't be at all surprising that you could see a connection between human rights issues and those people that are in jail. So, yeah, there are some real policy opportunities for us out of this survey.
I think so, for sure.
Indeed. I'm really proud of the effort.
I got to practice a little bit, so thank you for letting me practice again.
We kind of rushed you through it a little bit too. You want to slow down just a hair.
You did great. You did really good. It was wonderful. I liked it. I was very interested and engaged. I love word salads because I feel that everybody sees a word that they connect to in word salads, and so I think those kind of things draw people in. And I was like, I wonder how she gathered that. Did she just type some of the responses in? I liked the salads too, pretty much. Any other comments on that at this time?
Excellent job.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Stipend well spent. I think.
We don't have the exact presentation time yet, but you certainly would be welcome to be at the Board of Supervisors on the 24th of May to witness firsthand.
Yeah. New commission. Oh, sorry. Does somebody have their
Would you like me to email it to you all individually, or I did send it to both Bird and Jim. They have it.
If Bird has it, I can just send her my little thoughts and she'll be like, those are exactly what I saw too.
Ellen, if you could send that to me, I'd really appreciate it. That's a great presentation. I'd like
I think it'd be nice to share with all of
Yeah.
us.
I don't know, perhaps maybe Bert or Jim can email me a list of all of
Yes.
your emails, and so that way I can get it to you.
Will
Or if
do.
they have it, they can email it out too. If you guys have a copy of it
Well,
already.
Better
I'm
coming.
putting
from
my
the person.
email in the chat, Ellen.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know why I don't have that turned off. Normally, we don't have chats.
Okay,
Because- Yeah,
I'll make sure that you have a list so that you can just distribute that.
all
Thank you.
right. I'm very proud of you. It's awesome. Nice to see you. That's beautiful.
One more thing, I know that our committee is about to end at the end of June, but Jim is actually the one who has done all the work as the chair of that. I am not the one, so you might want to change that.
Okay.
I thought Jim
Give
didn't
him
do
credit.
anything.
Pretty equal, I think.
I thought Jim didn't do anything. He just kind of sat on committees.
Well, you know,
You're right.
Jim's our
Ellen
hero.
did all the work.
Jim's
Ellen did the work, but Jim did the organizing.
Jim is definitely our hero.
And Bert was tremendously helpful resource throughout. sure.
Absolutely. Always is.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Bert or Jim, this commission would sometimes falter. You guys are my heroes. New commission logo. Dotson and I have actually been in touch with each other. We've been, and there is a little bit of movement. I would suggest changing the end date to 8/31. We're pretty close. What do you feel about that, Dotson?
Yeah, I think we should push it back a little bit since we're just now looking to get the event page up and we can start circulating in social media. And then, yeah, once that's up as well, then I will print a few more posters. Jim and I talked about that, and then we could hang those up in really high traffic spots that will have the QR code to the Facebook page event site.
Are you able to share what you shared with me? Because it's so cool looking. Can you share it with the committee? I mean, commission?
Oh, the event page.
Well, yeah, and
Do we have something on Facebook now?
we're working on it. We're still working on getting Facebook to work, but we're working on it. Somehow, through the course of human events, I don't seem to have.
Mary got in touch with me and we were kind of playing tag, and then
Yeah, we've been working on it, but I don't seem to. Eddie, do you have any executive rights to our Facebook page?
No. That's all through the county.
Our Facebook page is through the county. It's not a personal Facebook page that Lelania built or anything.
Yeah, the way we stream it through, we stream it through the county.
The actual page?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know how we do the recordings and we did the live stuff? We run that through the counties. That's how we used to do it.
Okay. I'll get a hold of IT and ask them about that. But look how cool that looks, you guys.
That's just the event page there, and then Jim has the poster. We have some posters that we're gonna be. Jim has been hanging up, and we'll hang some more up too.
The PDF of the poster is really cool.
We really need people to volunteer to pick up. I've got posters on my desk here. We need to have people distribute them wherever you shop or where you think people would see these. I can get
I'm
them.
gonna email you. Yeah, let me go ahead and stop sharing this. I'm gonna email you tomorrow about the Arts Alive thing down here, and then I will contact you because I'm we're quarantining right now. My daughter has COVID, but we're hopefully coming off of quarantine on Sunday, and then she plays softball, so I'm all over the county.
Great.
So I can meet up with you and get some posters. And
Just let me know.
And then if we meet Sunday at 10, I can grab a couple from you too. And if anybody wants me to bring them north with me, if anybody lives up in McKilligore, Trinidad, they could pick them up for me at McKilligore High School when I'm up there. If anybody lives up that way, I can pick some up to distribute to anybody up there. Where do you live at, Larry? Do you live in Arcata?
Yeah.
Lives near Blue Lake.
Good, Larry.
I was thinking my son-in-law is the art teacher at Eureka Zane middle school. And I'm sure he has they've been doing some quite extensive murals there, and I'm sure that he would be very interested in having posters that he could put up there at Zane and Eureka High School.
That'd be great.
Do you have a name? Do you have a name, Larry?
Yeah, Ken Weiderman is his name.
Weiderman?
I know Ken.
Weiderman, yes.
Oh,
I love Ken. I've known Ken for a long
Yeah.
time. I didn't know you guys were related.
Yeah,
Ken's
well,
one of my,
he's
Ken
my-
used to live
my
right around the corner from my son.
son-in-law, yeah.
I know
Yeah, he's a
Ken really well.
neat guy.
If
Yeah.
I just stop by Zane, they could give him
Oh,
some
sure.
posters.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm sure he'd be more than excited to facilitate that.
That's awesome. The Epitome Art Gallery in Old Town is where that's the ones that sell all of the spray paint, and they have all the young artists go in there. So Epitome, I was thinking I could drop off at a couple spots too, places I know.
What is it
Awesome.
called?
Epitome Art Gallery.
Okay, I think when we make a few new posters for like major areas that we will get a lot of traffic, and then we can put the new date on those, and maybe we can use those posters at like high traffic areas where we can get more
Perfect.
interest. So as soon as
Okay.
that page is up, then I'll go ahead and make some more posters. We're just gonna do like 20 or something, and then we can put those in art places, big grocery stores.
Nice. Do we have to make a motion to change the end date, or do we just choose to end it? I don't know what the rules are for that. Bert or Jim? Do we
Well,
have-
I move that we extend the end date for the committee to August 1st. Is that what
August
you're at?
30, August 31st.
Okay, August 31st.
Second,
Okay, any discussion? All right, then all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Eddie, Eddie?
Yep.
Aye. Okay, so moved. Lisa, I think it might be good to get a couple of those in, like, a couple good spots, maybe even United Indian Health or wherever there is some traffic with the local Native population. I'd love to see
For
Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
Sure.
There is a $500 prize.
there are
Right.
a couple of other places, the Morris Graves Museum of Art and
That's
the
where I was gonna take, yeah.
the other art one that's kind of catty-cornered from there. Can't think of the name of it right now, but that art gallery that's on the corner, they have artists in there too, and I think that might be a good place to take them.
Great. I wish we were all in a meeting in person because that's what we used to do. Young people definitely. We used to just have them there. We could disseminate them so easily for each other.
When are we back together? When are we? I've not.
I'm hoping next month. My goal is next month. That's my goal, if possible, is to set it up so we will. Yeah. Okay. New commission logo. Oh, that's done. Okay. Indigenous Peoples Committee, Ms. Sunberg. How have you been doing there? You've been traveling everywhere, girl.
I know. I said, oh man, the last thing I remember was we were trying to get on a call together and it wasn't lining up. So I'm going to request Carol's help on that and ask for an extension also through August. We just haven't been able to do it. And we're going right into dance ceremonies. I'm in fundraising mode for our ceremonies, and I'm going to France again for another 2 weeks. So I'm going to be like extremely slammed. So I really need time after our ceremonies are at the end of June. So that's going to be crazy for me. I have the next 2 weeks to try to squeeze one in. So Carol, if you don't mind helping me schedule one and see if we can line up again these next 2 weeks would be great.
Is
Okay.
August 31st a good enough date for you, or should it be further back than that?
Well, we can just do September would be great.
September 30th?
Sure. End of September. Yep.
Well, then I move that we extend this committee's date to September 30th.
Second,
Discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Eddie? There we go. All right.
Thank you.
Assume Carol's voting yes, so that's 9.
Yes.
Yep. She said something, she said it.
Okay.
Okay,
Mary,
yeah, go ahead, Carol.
this is Carol. I have since it's Indigenous, today is the National Awareness Day for Missing Murdered Indigenous Women.
It is, and I believe that is what you had, well, is that what you sent us? Or just the whole-
I sent you the Department of Justice's new creation of the murder missing Indigenous peoples website.
Yeah. I just looked at it again. It's really cool.
And if we could post that in our, wherever we post stuff, I guess that would be great.
I think so. I think that I think that we should add that to our county page. Okay. Thanks. Thank you, guys. So unfinished business, it looks like Board of Supervisors funding grants. And I think we talked a little bit about it. I was able to finally talk to Virginia, so we're hopefully going to get our Zoom and wherever we're staying funded. And it seems like we do pay out a little bit of money for printing and things like that. So we should probably think about including that in that. So let's, I'll send out a little email tonight as soon as we get done, so don't forget to do it, to if anybody thinks of anything else that we should ask. I'd like to put in a request to Virginia by next week, by Monday, hopefully, just to get an idea and keep that discussion open, alive and going with her, to see what she thinks and have her help me through that process. Anybody have any comments on that right now? Okay. So new business, the DA questions. Guy, you kind of have taken the lead on that, so I'd love to have you talk to the commission about it.
Just a quick comment on the DA questions. The only person we heard back from was Kamada, but he hasn't responded other than saying that he would. But I did get a number of questions from several of you, and I did forward that to the League of Women's Voters. So they will be asked during their presentation, for the DA race. I think that's coming up in another 10 days or 13 days.
It's on the 18th.
18th, okay, yeah.
All right.
Related to that, and that's your other item on the new item. I did talk to Mad River Union, and they seem to be agreeable about putting a monthly column in for the Human Rights Commission. So if, I mentioned my willingness to write, but again, I don't want to write it under my name. I want to write it as the commission. And so if people would be generous with, comments, ideas, I figured maybe, kind of latching on to Ellen's presentation, maybe our first column, if they do go ahead with that, is to kind of give a history of our commission over the last, 40 odd years, what we're doing. And also, if nothing else, to kind of remind people that it would be kind of nice if they serve, seeing how we're down about 50% right now. So it'd be nice if we could, tell them what we're doing, and also that we could maybe use a little help.
I like that idea. I also like when you're saying, I think if you just sent a draft out to us before it was due, especially because between Bern and I you're really good at writing as well, to send a draft out maybe a week. I don't know when the due date would be or anything. That would be the only thing I would suggest. And I saw, Jim, your hand was up.
Well, I was going to ask, is it possible for us to have is it a byline or a heading that stands apart from other articles?
I don't know at this point, but I'm assuming just looking at what they've done, for other people over there, I imagine we'll have their own separate heading over there.
That would be nice. Then it'll be recognizable month after month.
Right. I mean,
And there's a lot of material in that survey that could serve as more than one article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it. Good movement. The last thing on the agenda is officer nominations. So it's that time of year. If you guys could, because we do not have a secretary for you to send nominations to, Jim, would you be willing to accept the nominations being sent to you?
Is that how you want to do it?
Or nominations could be sent to me or to you, and then we would reach out to the person and say, do you want to run for this position? And then we would present the slate at the June meeting. And if we're lucky enough to meet in person, I think we would do like we did years ago. It seems like everybody kind of wrote the name of the person on a piece of paper and then we looked at them in person. Or do you want to, how would you want to, what suggestions do you guys have for next month for how we would vote? Remember, we used to do that back in the day. You just wrote who you want on a piece of paper and it all got turned over and kind of a little count was done and said this person won. What do you suggest, Bert?
Well, I think that's what we're supposed to do according to our bylaws.
Right.
It's a secret ballot. So I don't quite know how we do that on Zoom, but if we're going to meet in person in July, we could do that.
Yeah, right. I meant in July because would we be voting next month or would we be voting in July?
You would be voting in June for
June, that's right.
July.
Yeah,
Okay.
June for July. So what I'm thinking is that I suggest that once we have the slate, I suggest that we would we could email it out and have people email back their vote if we want, and then tally it and present it. We would vote at the June meeting. Normally we would vote that day, correct? Go ahead, Bert.
I know in some Zooms I've been in, they have a voting thing that comes up. Eddie, do you know how to do that?
Yeah, it's pretty easy, and we can do
should be
that.
able to do it that way. And then people,
Yeah, it's an easy Google form. I could make the Google form too, or Eddie could either one.
no, I mean, it happens during the meeting. It just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everybody votes and then whoever is tallying them says so-and-so how many votes and who wins. So I
Perfect.
think that's the way we should do it.
Yeah, so
Okay, yeah,
what we're talking about is a Zoom poll. That's
Yeah.
Zoom poll.
That's correct.
I do them in my classroom. Sometimes they're fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, but Eddie, I would love to have your help with that. So then now the question is, who are we going to send the nominations to?
Why don't you send them to me since I'm filling in for David? And I'll be glad to compile the list.
And yeah, we and that way we can kind of figure all that out by next month. We don't have a big pool to draw from, so let's all. I know who I would nominate to do everything. Okay, guys. For now, then I think that we are at 7:02. And if everybody is feeling good about it, it's the first time we've had a good long meeting, I would like to adjourn the meeting at 7:02.
So move.
Okay.
Recording stopped.
All right. Well, Lisa, I'd love to get together and have some with you sometime. You're up near, aren't you up in, where are you living? Up in Trinidad, right?
Yeah.
I'm
And
I'm at Mac High. Let's meet in person. Let's have a.
Yeah. It jumps up. I want to invite y'all to our high tea by the sea on May 22nd. If
Okay.
that do so, we have a fundraiser for Sumac Village, and that's at the casino at the Sunset from 12 to 3.
Oh, please send out an invite.
And so we're trying out native fusion charcuterie and cheese boards, all kinds of stuff. So
Oh,
foraging. I'm foraging for native indigenous stuff. I'm gonna fuse it and make some yummy stuff.
oh my goodness, please do not Please remind me. I did talk to Virginia about how they do board retreats. So as long as we don't discuss any business and we post the retreat, we would be able to all meet together in person without it being a meeting. There is, because I asked her about, I go, we haven't met half the people on the commission. She said, well, board retreats and commission retreats are legal as long as you don't discuss any, as long as it's a bonding experience. I can't remember what the word she used, a community building experience or whatever the word is.
Team building.
Huh?
Team building.
Team building experience, and we don't talk about anything, any agenda items that we are legally allowed to do that. We would still have to post that we're all meeting. And sometimes, she said, sometimes when they've done that, some aberrant person will show up, but generally speaking, it's only happened once or twice. So as long as we posted it, we would be able to have an in-person meeting together that is not official meeting, but it's officially posted. It was very confusing. Anyway, but please please hit me up about that because I'm all about that kind of stuff. I'll come up there.
Oh, yeah, well, we have really good foodie stuff coming along and native teas to detox after you eat too much. So how about that?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Did you say, Lisa, you said you're going to send us information about that? Will you send an email?
Yeah, I can send email for you guys.
Perfect.
Cool.
And Dotso, let's keep working this week. Just hit each other in the evening. It's been, my grandson has COVID. A couple of my students have COVID. I help my son coach the Little League, and I've learned how to take score for Little League now. So, and it's not easy to take score for baseball, but it went right through his, like 3 kids on his team got it this week. Where's your daughter go to school at?
Miranda Junior High, and we were missing 50 students the other day.
Yeah, it just, and I know that Six Rivers, I was talking to the principal at Six Rivers, the little high school that's next to the high school, Arcata High, and they were testing their whole little school of like 50 or 60 kids today. I've never gotten it yet. I don't know how I haven't gotten it, but I'm just one of the last holdouts.
We're testing negative so far. My husband and I are, but she's.
Have you had it yet? Have you ever had it?
I don't know. We thought maybe we had it before that really like started to be publicized. We went down to the Bay Area. We got really sick right before New Year's Eve.
I got really sick. I got really sick 2 weeks before they shut us down. So I don't know. But I got tested for antibodies, but who knows? I don't even.
Yeah, same.
My daughter has it up in Seattle, and she never got it the 2.5 years she was working in the food industry. And as soon as she was days after the brewery closed, because a guy retired and just didn't want to sell his name. Yeah, all of a sudden we were just everybody. It's a little uptick again, but it's a really quick one. Is your daughter doing good?
Yeah, she's actually fine, but she's testing positive, so she still has to quarantine until 10 days, which is kind of a bummer because she's bored.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Well, let's hit each other up. This weekend, I feel like I'm starting to have energy. My energy, having my mom die and then 2 other people die, and then I got sick, and then my foot was in a brace. I feel like today was the first time I felt like I was even prepared for
that's a lot. I'm sorry.
the meeting.
Wow. Yeah.
Is that you?
My daughter's working. We're okay. There's no fire.
Was that
Have a good night.
All right, bye.
Take care. I'll be in touch.
You'll find me on the plaza if you want to see me. I'll be at the farmers market on Saturday, so making fry bread for.
Wow.
So we're there.
I'm still working on gluten-free fry bread recipes. I'm coming up with one.
You got to come up on Saturday.
I'll try. Yeah, I can't eat the fry bread because I'm gluten-free. I have been for over 20 years, but I just wanted to, come see you. Have we even ever met in person?
I don't think so.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Right.
So nuts. All right, kiddo. Well, I will talk to you soon, okay?
Okay. All right, guys.
Don't forget to tell me about that thing on the 22nd. I want to go.
I am. I'm working on sending it right now. I'm going to send it.
Okay, take care. Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye, guys.